Okay, well, good afternoon, everyone. Very nice to be here at Woodside Houses. We thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Look, I want to remind people as we talk about Vision Zero and the work we're doing, I always tell people Vision Zero has only just begun. This is the first few years of something that if we all succeed will be going on for many years and, in fact, decades, becoming stronger all the time. The very nature of Vision Zero is it continues to grow. The physical improvements we make to our streets, something we're going to be doing constantly. And the enforcement, the NYPD and TLC does, is going to be constantly refined, increased, improved. I've said very, very clearly you're going to see more enforcement from the NYPD in the months ahead, particularly on things like speeding and failure to yield, on driving under the influence of drugs or alcohol, and a problem that's growing, which is texting while driving and being on a cell while driving and being distracted. We're going to go at all of those problems very, very aggressively. But another key part of the plan is to have speed cameras. And we were just talking about it. Speed cameras work if people know they're there and stop speeding because they think they're there or know they're there, then they worked. We don't want people to get tickets. We just want them to stop speeding. If they get tickets, well, I can tell you that's going to have an impact on people's thinking and it's going to change behavior. We simply need people to stop speeding, stop being reckless, and recognize that when you're behind the wheel of a vehicle, you could be taking other people's lives into your hands. That's what Vision Zero is all about, recognizing that so many lives have been lost, so many people injured, it didn't have to be. So many times we as a society accepted the notion that there was going to be a certain number of accidents when in fact that was not a true concept. They weren't accidents, they were policy mistakes that had to be addressed. So we continue to see constant evidence that Vision Zero is working. And we are very, very proud. The last 6 months have continued to show us that Vision Zero is reducing the number of people killed and injured, just like the excellent work of the NYPD is making us the safest big city in America. We know both of those efforts have to continue together. Speed cameras are a necessary part of the equation. By the way, I want to remind everyone, speed cameras are just as important in the summer months because kids are in summer school. So I don't want anyone thinking, oh, during the summer, feel free to speed around and no kids are going to be in danger. No, kids are in danger in summer because of summer school, because of camp programs, all sorts of things where they're going to be using school buildings. So those cameras are on. That's my public service announcement for today. Those cameras are on all year round, and people need to be respectful of the fact that it's about protecting our kids. I want to say up front, I want to thank Commissioner Polly Trottenberg and everyone at DOT who've been champions of Vision Zero. They have done an outstanding job implementing this vision. Let's give them a big round of applause and thank them. NYPD, as I said, I remember when before Commissioner Bratton actually came in, he gave a speech on the importance of addressing the dangers created by traffic. And it was quite clear that he was going to embrace Vision Zero deeply, and Commissioner O'Neill has done so since, both with them with tremendous passion, and they both gave the ball to Chief of Transportation Tom Chan, who's done an amazing job with enforcement. Let's thank Chief Chan and everyone at the NYPD. I also want to welcome and thank for his support of this initiative, Assemblyman Brian Barnwell. Thank you so much for being here with us today. So, look, we have fixed location cameras now at 100 school zones. We have 40 mobile cameras like the one you saw right back here that we can move to appropriate locations. We can also move them to wherever we find within their authorization that there is a focal point of problems and a safety problem that we need to address. But let's be clear, we still don't have what we need, which is a state law that allows us to implement as many speed cameras as necessary. And this is a fight that must go on until we win. Right now, the state law prohibits us from placing speed cameras in some of the most dangerous streets near our schools. I'll give you an example of Bryant High School right nearby. 201 people have been injured over the past 5 years in traffic crashes near Bryant High School. 201 people. When you think of a situation like that, it makes clear that we have to have the ability to have more speed cameras around our schools. If you can't put speed cameras along the places where kids are, it just undermines our ability to keep them safe. And this means, places where kids have to cover, or I should say cross, major streets like Northern Boulevard. The current definition of where we're allowed to put the speed cameras doesn't follow the reality of people's lives and doesn't actually look at the routes kids take to school and where the dangerous points are near their school and allow us the flexibility to cover those points. So here's a troubling statistic. 85% of the deaths and severe injuries that happen in this city happen in places and at times where we're not allowed to use a speed camera according to state law. So we got the facts to prove there are many, many more crashes that we could avoid, many more lives we could save, many more injuries we could avert if we had that flexibility. The numbers prove it, the locations are clear, the times are clear, but the state law stands in our way. We fought very hard in this last session, and it was an extraordinary fight, and you're going to hear from some of the folks who were in the forefront of that fight. I want to thank them all. There's passionate advocacy by family members who lost loved ones or saw loved ones grievously injured. They have been leading the charge in Albany. Advocacy groups, our elected officials, there's been a really intensive effort. And we came close. I think in the scheme of things, this was a pretty strong legislative session for New York City on many fronts. But on this one, I'm disappointed because we came close and we didn't get there. But a new day begins in January, and we are going to come back strong and focused. I want to thank, for their leadership on the legislation, Senator Peralta and also Assemblymember Glick. I really appreciate their strong leadership, and they were shoulder to shoulder with organizations like Transportation Alternatives and Families for Safe Streets. And again, we will not be stopped. I want to be very clear. We're going to be relentless about this. We're going back to Albany in January. We're going to say that this is a no-brainer. We've got to save lives. The first responsibility of government is save lives. And also the common sense point. People are not going to get tickets if they're not speeding. I always get upset when I hear elected officials, present company excluded, talking about their constituents who complain about the speed camera. There's nothing to complain about if you're not speeding because nothing happens to you. So if their constituents think they can walk up and say, hey, I'd like to break the law more often, why won't you help me? There's something wrong. In fact, our job is to make sure people don't break the law and don't endanger their fellow New Yorkers' lives. We understand it's going to be a big fight, but I am convinced it's a fight we're going to win ultimately. And with that, I want to turn to one of the leaders in this fight to keep families safe, Senator Jose Peralta.
I want to thank the mayor, and I want to welcome him to this district, to my Senate district, the United Nations of all Senate districts. And I want to thank him for this initiative under your stewardship of Vision Zero. It is the mayor that has really had that vision of moving this program forward. And it's this mayor who has really gone above and beyond to save lives. And for that, we're very appreciative, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank Transportation Alternatives, Commissioner Trottenberg, Assemblyman Brinewell, Assemblywoman Glick for being my partner, PTA presidents that are here, families of victims, families of Safe Streets, Chief Chan, community activists, and so many others. Ladies and gentlemen, speed cameras save lives. Simple. protecting school children should not be a topic of delayed discussion. Instead, it should be a call for immediate action. Plain and simple, period. This is not only clear and simple, but there's plenty of empirical data that talks about and confirms that speed cameras save lives. As elected officials, protecting our school children and all New Yorkers in general is a top priority. In the city, we have over 1 million school children that travel to and from school every single day during the academic year. We need to provide our children with a safe environment, and installing these speed cameras in school zones is a vital step towards that direction. Ladies and gentlemen, another thing that you probably know, speeding kills. And drivers should keep in mind, as the mayor pointed out, that school is not out. We still have summer school classes. They should really pay attention as they drive, especially around schools. Because according to the statistics by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, 1 in every 3 fatal crashes in 2013 involved speeding motorists. Currently, and as part of the program approved in 2013, bless you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you,
we have 140 speeding cameras installed in school zones throughout the city, but we need more. The results have been undoubtedly positive. In fact, there has been a 63% decline in speeding violations issued at locations with a speed zone speed camera location, according to DOT. Additionally, 81% of the drivers that received a fine for speeding in a school zone were not summoned a second time, meaning that it changed their behavior. And that's what we're trying to get to, changing the behavior. And at locations with speeding cameras in place, there's been a 13% decline in the number of pedestrians, motorists, and cyclists injured in traffic crashes. Simply put again, ladies and gentlemen, speed cameras work. Thus, expanding the program makes sense. We need to extend, expand, and strengthen this life-saving program so our school children are protected. We must ensure 2 things. First, that the program does not expire next year. And 2, second, that we need to include more schools in the program. If we expand the program under this proposal, we would be able to install a camera right over here by Northern Boulevard, one of the main thoroughfares of Queens, because of the quarter-mile provision in the bill. And as you know, it's not easy to cross Northern Boulevard. Now imagine the number of school children that have to do it every single day. Again, this is about protecting our children and protecting New Yorkers. Several years ago, one of my constituents was killed right across the street from a school where my district office is, after school hours. And that's why it's also vital that we extend the hours that these speed cameras operate, so we ensure that after 3 p.m., our children and New Yorkers are protected. Well, some of the critics to what the mayor pointed out are always going to say that this is a cash grab. This is about making money for the city. And as the mayor pointed out, that couldn't be any further from the truth, because this bill states that we will have very visible and clear signs 300 feet away that read "speed camera ahead." So if you do not read those signs that say "speed cameras ahead," then you deserve the ticket, right? The formula is unequivocal. No speeding equals no fines. So I want to thank the mayor. I want to thank the families. I want to thank all the advocates for all that they've done. And although January is day 1 to continue to lobby up in Albany, but we're starting the educational campaign as of now, making sure that not only all of New Yorkers know, but all of my colleagues up in Albany understand the necessity and the need that we need these speed cameras to save lives. So, Mr. Mayor, thank you so much for all that you've done.
Thank you. And for years, there have been voices in this city calling out this problem and telling us that it did not have to be this way. And they were right, that big changes had to happen, and now Vision Zero is proving every day that big changes can happen. And one of the strongest voices has been the Executive Director of Transportation Alternatives, Paul Steely-White.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm very proud to stand here with you today and your commissioners to say that we will stop at nothing to protect our kids from speeding drivers. You know, in the 19th century, it was typhoid and cholera, polio, right? And we figured out, our scientists, our leading leaders, thinkers, thought about, and they researched solutions to those problems, and we had life-saving vaccines. Today, the leading cause of mortality for our kids is speeding drivers. And we have a vaccine, we have a proven solution that reduces this leading cause of mortality by 63%. If we were talking about anything else that didn't challenge some people's beliefs that motorists should have free rein on our streets, there would be no debate, there would be no discussion, as there should not be. But we will continue to fight. You know, if this was easy, cities across the country would see declining fatalities and injuries on their streets, but that's not the case. Cities across the country are seeing traffic fatalities increase. New York is bucking the trend, and it's because of this leadership that we have here today that refuses to let politics stand in the way of saving our kids. So the cameras are on. Be on the lookout. For those who think this is gotcha, I have news for you. It's savior, because it's the kids that are getting saved, but it's also the drivers, because it's a leading cause of mortality for drivers too. So thank you, Mr. Mayor, for continuing this fight. The results are being seen and celebrated all over the city and really all over the country, and let's keep it up.
Amen. Thank you, brother. Finally, I know everyone involved in Families for Safe Streets wishes that they did not have this very painful common link of having lost a loved one or seen horrible injury to a loved one. They wish that this was not the issue they were focused on because it was so personal, but it is so personal. And I always admire them because they could have taken their pain and walked away, but instead they decided to do something to change the reality so no one else would have to go through that pain. And they've been extraordinarily powerful voices, and they're going back to Albany with a vengeance because they, like all the rest of us, are not going to accept further delays and too many missed opportunities to save lives. So it's my honor to introduce a founding member of Families for Safe Streets, Judy Kotick.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hi, my name is Judy Kotick, and I remember 3 years ago, I think, when I joined Mayor de Blasio and Transportation Commissioner Polly Trottenberg and fellow members of the newly formed Families for Safe Streets to hear about the Vision Zero campaign to eliminate traffic fatalities and injuries on our streets. Nothing could have been more important to me at the time, and the same is true today. My 23-year-old daughter, Ella Bandes, was killed in January 2013 in Queens by a distracted driver. It's really hard to stand up here and say those words. As New Yorkers, we are often in a hurry, striving to accomplish our goals, get ahead, and squeeze the most out of life. We're proud of our ability to be assertive and aggressive in everything we do. But I'm here to tell you that driving like a New Yorker cannot be tolerated anymore. It is killing our kids. And speed safety cameras can help change the culture of reckless driving on our streets. As everyone has said today, we know that speed is the leading cause of traffic-related deaths, and we can put a stop to it. I was so disappointed that Senator Peralta's bill to expand the use of these life-saving cameras did not pass. After several trips to Albany with Families for Safe Streets during the legislative session, we allowed ourselves to hope, in dedication to our lost loved ones and those who have been injured, that our lawmakers would do the right thing. But no. Here we have a proven tool to help save the lives of our children that we can't use. I commend everyone here today to state that they're staying committed to this issue, and we're determined to forge ahead. To honor our daughter, my husband, son, and I, and Ella's friends are working to prevent others from living the nightmare we live every day. Danielle Davis is here today with the same goal, to work for safer streets in the name of her sister, Loren, who was also killed by a reckless driver a year ago. Maybe you think this could never happen to you, but I'm here to tell you this could happen to anyone, no matter how careful you are. Ella was sure-footed, self-aware, and cautious. Her phone was zipped up in her bag. She'd not been drinking. She was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, like other family members from Families for Safe Streets' loved ones. I'm sure the driver who killed Ella didn't set out to run her down that day. She was tired, distracted, and she was in a hurry to get home. She was reckless, and in that moment, she extinguished a life. The life of my beautiful daughter, who was a dancer, an artist, and a PhD student-to-be, and my best friend. Our cars are multi-ton weapons that are designed to make us forget how deadly they are. We are busy in a densely populated city, and we endure frustrating traffic. But I am asking everyone to help us change the culture of car dominance that makes each driver feel like they own the road at the expense of other drivers, pedestrians, and cyclists. You can drive more carefully yourself and not accept distracted, speeding, and reckless drivers from others. We can all fight for street safety every day in big and small ways. And we can support changes in the laws, even if we're inconvenienced. Speed safety cameras can remind us to be more aware, to value human life over being in a hurry. Isn't it worth slowing down and being inconvenienced to save a life? That life could be yours or your family members. Thank you for Ella. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much. Everyone, hold up that photo again. Here's what we're fighting for, to save a life.
Yeah.
Come forward, all of you. Save a life and to make sure there are not more tragedies in this city. And we're going to continue this fight, and we're going back into Albany in January to get it done. Thank you, everyone. God bless you.
Thank you so much.